Alright, guys. Welcoming myself back to my podcast. I haven't posted on here for like a month. Um, I really haven't had anything that I've been really studying much. I've been being a little bit social and going out and had some concerts and some San Diego trips and I can't remember if I went to Vegas before or after. I think it was after the last time I recorded. After Valentine's Day? I can't remember. The last post I put up was Valentine's Day, so I don't really know when the last time was I actually recorded. The last time I was in Vegas, I think was near that time. But anyways, I've got some kind of nostalgic type of post that I'll be putting up, just because it's kind of the only topic that fits with this category of podcasts, just because I haven't really had a lot of experiences lately with studying anything in particular related to like history or culture so much. I've been more so in my own culture. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I've explained it multiple times, but I'm kind of almost coming at things from a more like just like cultural differences perspective, and just kind of that whole dynamic of having a different outlook from maybe the traditions I was raised around, and then coming back into an environment where the household still kind of follows a lot of traditions I was raised with, and then a lot of the more immediate people that I have that are around me as far as social circles that I could the most easily hang out with, that all live in the same city for the most part, or within like a 15-minute or so drive. Because in LA, when you're driving 15 to 20 minutes, that is usually a pretty close distance. I know in some places you could drive like 30 minutes and be like, almost like nearly almost 30 miles, like out here it's like 3 miles, I have friends who live like less than 10 miles away that, it takes me a little over 30 minutes to get 10 miles. And so the friends that I have who live within a 10-mile radius, usually within like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 or so miles, they're kind of the ones that are the easiest to see, even though I don't see them all the time, and I've explained exactly why that is. But it's not that we never communicate or never talk. Like, we talk online a little bit, texting and like a little like social media type of stuff. We're not completely out of touch, but we don't like actively see each other on a regular basis. And of all of them, I think I'm the only one that kind of has like a social life, like an active social life with people that I actually care to go like see on a regular basis out of town. And so that kind of contributes too. But I was starting to think of different topics. I was watching one of Eli Yoder's videos that I hadn't seen before. It was like 50 something minutes, him interviewing this other Miller guy. I think they're like third cousins, they said, and he was talking about their kind of religion and how it was when he left. It's kind of weird. Like, I really gravitate towards like Amish and Mormon and like Jehovah's Witness, and those, like, even like some conservative, some really ultra orthodox types of like Jewish groups. And like, I wasn't raised like so traditional to a point where it was like you're so disconnected from society. Because, like I've mentioned, I was raised in LA. Like, there's only so much disconnecting you can do. And especially if you are around your neighbors who might not go to a religious school or be raised in your same traditions, and you know, you're like, I was allowed to like interact with people who weren't like from the same religion and culture and stuff. So I did have friends in social circles outside of that, and whether it was through, you know, local neighbors or like school friends or friends of friends around the neighborhood, or um, just, you know, when I went to public schools and public universities and colleges and things like that, like, you know, I started developing social circles that had a lot of people that just didn't even know anything about, you know, excuse me, about the traditions I was raised in. My voice is going to be a little weird. I did something strange today. I had some pho for lunch. Um it was brisket, and then I got like an added portion of vegetables with tofu. So I put like half the tofu and veggies in there, and then a whole bunch of like spice. And it wasn't like a super spicy meal, but there was a point where I had kind of you know, choked a little bit on the food, and a little bit of that spice kind of went down towards like where my lungs are. So for quite a few hours I've been kind of like a little bit like my voice is a little raspy, and because I was like coughing for a little bit, and it was fine, like nothing really got lodged or anything. It was just like I could kind of feel like the heat, like the spice kind of spreading into an area that I was like, this isn't my throat. Like I was trying to drink water and stuff, and like, and then eventually I was kind of coughing a lot, so it kind of made my throat a little raspy. um so yeah, it's probably not the best of times to record, but I kind of wanted to just sit outside, because the day's a little clearer, and it's not super like raining anymore right now. And even though it's almost night, I don't care, because the sky is blue at the moment. I saw it was blue. The marine layer had come in like earlier when I was outside around 3:30 or so. It was nice and warm and sunny. Then around 4:30, the marine layer rolled in, and it got super cloudy. And then I saw around 6:30 it started clearing up again, and I'm like, well, then it's almost gonna be night, so I'm gonna come outside, and just chill outside and just record a little bit and get some fresh air. So that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I found it to be really um just, yeah, it kind of brought up some nostalgic kind of feelings with, you know, just thinking about, you know, reflecting about being around the neighborhood again. And you know, one of my friends came into town, and we went and saw AFI, and just kind of like bringing back some memories about when we were in high school, getting into that band, and then kind of like the reactions of like some of the church leaders, and just kind of how that time went. And it was kind of fun catching up with my friend, kind of about like how we were raised and stuff. Like it's something that I don't really get to do too often with too many people, because it's like I don't really associate with a whole lot of people from church. It's usually the ones who live the closest. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't hate them. It's not that I hate them. It's just I'm really particular lately, and you know, I just try not to involve people in my life that just, you know, if their lifestyle isn't really going to suit what I need for myself, I just don't want to engage with it too much. Um, and I can compromise. I'm flexible. I just, you know, I don't want people getting in my way anymore. And I kind of just noticed that, like, you know, a lot of the church type individuals, sometimes they'll get in my way. The just the lifestyle type of things, there's a lot of stuff that can kind of get in my way sometimes. I'm not trying to lose sleep over anything or be mad at people if I already know, like, it's like I just don't need it in my life like that. But I'm willing to be friendly and sociable, and if people want to hang out and stuff, I try not to be like standoffish or whatever lately, you know. But yeah, I had like this opportunity to kind of hang out with somebody I hadn't really seen from like since I was like really young. Probably like I think they stopped attending the same religious school. Maybe in middle school. I remember going to their birthday. It was like a birthday Halloween sleepover thing, like way back when I was like pretty young. I wasn't driving yet. I don't know how young I was, but it was before I was driving, so I was a kid, because we were getting picked up or something. I remember at a certain place, but I had to do sports league the next morning anyway, so I just met my parents when they arrived to help set up at sports league, and then I went home with my parents at the end of that day. But yeah, like me and this person weren't like super close, but we weren't not like we didn't have any like falling outs. We weren't enemies. We spent a lot of time and space together, but as kids, I guess. And it's just kind of weird. Like when you live in LA, like these aren't like normal experiences that you have that you're just like, oh, somebody from like middle school or like whatever. Usually like if anything you'll go back to high school, maybe college or like early work days and stuff like that, but usually you're not going that far back. Like it's very small town, kind of like we grew up together kind of thing. Our parents knew each other, and once we're like, they used to like interact as like young parents and stuff, and like we went to a school and we're part of some religion and all this kind of stuff. It's something that I feel like a lot of people can't really relate to maybe. Um but yeah, like I literally have experiences like that cuz like I have other people that I know who still know other people that we all used to know like as kids. And so every now and then I'll be hanging out with somebody from, that I've known, that I grew up with, that still kind of like mingles and interacts with like someone else that I grew up with, but I just never was like staying in touch with them. And it's not really like a bad thing, but I did feel kind of weird about it. I was like, man, like I was starting to get like a little, I don't know if I was like nervous or anxious about it. I was just like, I don't know how this person is. But I kind of trust my other friends' judgment because I kind of know how they are, and they wouldn't be like hanging around somebody. Like, they don't even live in the state anymore. So for them to come from out of state and just try to make plans with somebody, I feel like they're not going to go out of their way to make plans with somebody who's just like a jerk or whatever. And so I didn't assume that this person was like negative, but I was like, I really don't know what this experience is going to be like. Because this person, I don't think they were ever like part of the church where I used to attend. It was more like the school, but I don't think they were like part of like the church life. So I don't really know. Like I don't know if they were ever really strict or what. I don't really know kind of their background with things. And I was like, dude, I don't know like where we left off. Like, you know, um, we fell out of touch as kids. Like a lot of times kids, their parents would take them out of the private school and just put them into the local public schools. And I think that's what happened to this person. But still, like we have like a common background, and if I mentioned this person and their parents to like my parents, they would know like the parents and stuff. Like so, it's kind of like even though none of us are really in touch, it's still interesting when experiences like that come up. I didn't actually get to hang out with that person because I had a headache, and then it lasted like from Sunday night pretty much until no, it wasn't Sunday night. Was it Sunday night? Yeah, Monday night. It lasted from like Monday evening, Monday after dinner, all the way through Tuesday was the worst of it, and then today, Wednesday, I kind of felt like maybe this morning I was like maybe I'm not fully 100%, but throughout the day I did get in a nap later in the day today, like around two to 3 or something like that, and then I feel fine now, but I mean, I feel like maybe this morning I didn't feel that great, but I don't remember when I started feeling better. But for that reason, I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it means I'm catching a cold. I don't think I was overwhelmed or stressed, but it's possible. Maybe I just picked up something because I had a little bit of a stomach thing. Like, I could tell when I was eating, like, I didn't feel 100%. But I was able to eat all my meals, but I just didn't feel like... It's kind of like when you eat something that's a little, like, off. I feel like that's what it was, but I'm not 100% sure because it never was fully blown. I just realized I had like a weird headache on Tuesday, and it was kind of strange too because I had like CBD in my system, and that didn't even really help. Like, I was like, because usually if I have any kind of like pain type of thing, if I take CBD, I usually notice it kind of just decreases a lot. And the headache wasn't that bad, so I thought, like having some CBD, it would just go away. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what it was. Like, it was kind of weird. I don't really get headaches like that. I used to when I was younger, but not lately. So I don't really know what the heck that was all about. But anyways, yeah, I just kind of missed out on meeting that friend, that past friend. I don't even know, like, I don't want to necessarily be like, oh, they're my friend, because like we don't stay in touch. I think I have them on my Facebook, but I don't like look at their stuff, and I don't talk to them really. But we've got like a number of friends in common, probably at least like 20 people that we all know together, maybe even more than that. And so sometimes it's fun to just catch up, but I was kind of like, I don't really want to be like, oh yeah, so and so, and then this other so and so, and this other, like, I'm kind of like, I don't really want to like catch somebody up with like a whole bunch of people who maybe they don't talk to, and like I don't really know, like I'm like, what are we gonna talk about, like, it's like, how have you been for the last like 20 years? Maybe even longer. Have you been for the last like 30 years, probably even. So I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I went to high school with this person. I feel like it was before high school. So I don't know. And I remember the people that they were friends with. Their parents were definitely like really close with my dad, and I don't know. It's just weird. Like, it would have been kind of fun. Like, it might happen next time, maybe in like October or something. But part of me kind of wishes I could have made it, and then another part of me is like, maybe I dodged something. Like, I don't really know this person right now, so I don't want to like assume the worst or whatever. But it's just kind of those weird moments, and just kind of like when I was talking to my other friend, about high school, and like kind of like some experiences we had with like youth leaders and stuff, and how they would like push their agendas, and how we would kind of feel like different. Like, a lot of times we would like think about stuff, like you have your own opinions. Like, we weren't really the type of people who would just always hear an opinion about somebody else, or some kind of political type of topic. Like, they throw stuff out there like gay marriage and abortions, and just like should you be a Democrat or Republican, or like, when you work, should you work on the Sabbath, or like, would you ever take a job where you had to work on the Sabbath, and is it okay? Or like, stuff that's like kind of like gearing teens to kind of like think about their adult future, and like, just the process of like training people in like the traditions, teaching them the traditional beliefs. A lot of times I would hear stuff and I would be like, I don't really know if I really believe that, if it really sits well with me. And this other friend would have certain things like that too, that they would kind of hear and just think kind of similar to, like I was saying, like, you kind of don't really agree, but there's not really a space to really speak up and say it. If it's like someone in charge, he's like, oh, like, we all need to believe this because this is what the traditions say. And then you're kind of like, I don't really know. Like, I think that's not really what I think, And, sometimes it's like, I remember not really wanting to, like, get into debates. Like, we did kind of have, like, this debate style of, like, discussions a lot of times. But sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to debate on certain stuff because it's like, I'm not trying to, like, be right or whatever. Like, I can understand that, like, these people believe this and they want to teach others to believe it. So sometimes it wasn't like just because I don't believe it, then I'm gonna argue with it. But sometimes it would depend. I would think about it and I'd be like, this is worth, like bringing up something even if it turns into an argument. And then other times it wouldn't be worth it. I'd just be like, whatever. I really don't care if you want me to be Republican or whatever the fuck. Like, that didn't really matter to me. Like, I was just like, I'll do it. Like, no one's gonna know what I choose. Like, like, I don't really care what you want from me, kind of thing. But they would do a lot of like pushing agendas. There was a little bit of like political aspect to it. I don't know what people feel about me cursing. I think about that. Sometimes it's a conscious decision. I'm not like an automatic like just like F-bomb kind of person. Like, it's a conscious decision, and I do it because I feel like I'm not trying to like do a shock factor or anything. Part of me is just like, I want things to feel more relatable, and that's my version of being more relatable. It's kind of weird talking about like intense topics or like religion and stuff like that, and then I don't want people to think that I am just like completely like off the rails and just like running around ranting and raving and like trying to like destroy the church or whatever. And I also don't want people thinking that I'm like, stuck up with some traditional beliefs and think that I'm kind of like feeling like I never do anything wrong, like, or say anything or slip up, or like that I have all the answers. And that's kind of my version of just being like, yeah, I'll just drop an F-bomb. Like, I don't really care. Like, like, that's, I don't know if it offends people, but that's kind of my intention behind it. I'm not really trying to be offensive, but I know how religious people can be about cursing. Um, um, and for me, it's more of a, you know, I do what I want. And I learned this kind of from a youth pastor once, or collegiate. I don't know if it was teen or what age I was, but I remember having a youth pastor once that like he went up in front of the church and he said something about like, he was trying to get money for this mission trip we were gonna go for. And he goes up, and I think I've told the story before. He starts saying like, there's kids in this place that we're taking our kids to have this experience with these other kids who live in like poverty in this other country. And not only are our kids going to be able to kind of like interact with those kids and learn from them, but it's like a learning experience on all ends. And so he was trying to like, let the congregation of people know, like, hey, like, if you want to support a good cause, if you put money into this, some of it's going to go to the kids whose families can't really afford to like send them. It's going to go as like part of a stipend towards their money to go on this trip, because it would cost like, I don't know how much, let's say like $1,000 a person or whatever. I don't remember, because I was so young. I wasn't like paying bills or anything like that. Like, I wasn't making money, nothing like that. So I don't really know. But yeah. Um, he would say, he was just trying to get people to donate money. And he said something like, like, some of you guys don't give, let's be honest, some of you guys aren't going to give because you don't give a rat's ass, and that kind of thing. And he's like, and to make things even sadder, like, some of you are more concerned about the fact that I said the word ass than that there are people in other countries that are like starving and need assistance, and that we want to go try to help these people because I don't know what, if they requested us to come or what, but they were on the radar of some kind of mission group that are one of those pastor people got in touch with. I remember going with Maranatha once, but I feel like we usually went with some Adventist thing. But yeah, stuff like that where it's just like, I don't really think it's wrong. I'm not cursing at somebody. I'm not saying like F you or anything like that, but I wasn't raised cursing at all. Like, it's kind of funny, like every now and then it like slips out when I'm like, like around the house or something, and I'm just like, I know that my parents, but I mean, yeah, like, it's just kind of funny because I wasn't raised cursing or anything. Nobody in my household really curses. Like, My parents don't. Like, they're very traditional. Like, they don't curse, they don't smoke, they don't drink, like nothing. Um, they hardly even watch movies where there's like profanity. Like, my dad won't watch movies where there's any profanity or violence or even like suspenseful music. Like, he's watched like Glitter, and like he kind of likes like Mariah Carey and J Lo and that kind of stuff. Like, he can watch stuff like that a little bit, like when it's like musicians a little bit, but other than that, he's not really interested in most movies, and he just watches like sports and stuff. And yeah, he's kind of like against it. He's kind of got like a, it's kind of like a taboo too. It's kind of like one of those religious cultural taboos of like rated R movies or even PG-13 movies and just general like mainstream media in general. Um, you know, Traditional people of this religion can really have an issue with it. And I was very much raised thinking about, what I put into my body as far as like what I ingest and what I drink and what I consume as far as like entertainment. And I am very conscious about, things like propaganda and all that kind of stuff, and like consumerism and like marketing and all that. Like, it's really something that like I really um have a very, good awareness of, like when somebody's selling to me and all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm very like in tune with that. And sometimes I'm like whatever, and then other times I'm like, because I like the quality of the content sometimes, and I just like the topics or whatever. And then other times I'm really like, I see what this is, I see it for what it is, and it's not for me, kind of thing. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I am strangely conservative with the things I consume, and it's not for a religious reason. It's more so just, I feel like it's for mental health reasons. Like, I feel like there's like a fine line between like, maybe not even a line between like spirituality, mental health, kind of like your soul and that kind of thing. Like, it's like, I don't really even think I truly believe in like heaven and hell and that kind of thing. I just more so believe that, being affected by something negatively now, if I can help not being affected by it, then why would I go out of my way to be affected by something? Um, I feel like I don't know, for myself, I like to have a strategy around it. I don't like to just consume a lot of like material that's like, just like negative themes. Um, you know, like even my friend yesterday, told me about, we were talking and they told me about this movie called The Chosen. And I thought they meant the old one from like the 80s about like, based on the Chaim Potok book about the Hasidic Jewish guy Danny, and Reuven, his non-Hasidic but Jewish friend. Um, it's a very popular book, and yeah, there's a movie with like Benny Goodman, or what's his name? Is that his name? I don't think that's his name. That's the name of a jazz musician, I think. Um, I think his name is Benny something. Because I think he played also in Walk the Line. He kind of has like darker skin tone, but he's played a lot of characters back then. And yeah, yeah, like I thought, and then they were like, no, that's not the movie. It's the one about Jesus. And I was just kind of like, that sounds a little intense. Like, I was like, I really was not like trying to have a whole religious movie, watching or series. I was kind of like, I don't really know. And so I watched it a little bit because I was like, well, let me check it out, because they've recommended other stuff that I really liked, and I kind of liked where it was going. And then there was like a demon possession, and I was like, I'm not really in the mood to be watching that, like I'm kind of like, nah. It was like after 9 p.m., probably close to 9:30 at night. I was like, I don't really need to be thinking about demon possessions. And so I just let it go. But I don't know, like, yeah, it's just kind of interesting, the nostalgia type of things that come up. when I'm, catching up with friends who I grew up around. It's yeah, I've kind of dropped the ball a little bit with a couple things where I was just kind of like, I'm really not trying to like cancel on people, but we also didn't really have plans. So I'm kind of like, let me just see how I feel. And I was like, I don't think I'm contagious because I wasn't like sneezing or coughing really, but I don't really know. And I feel like if I'm even a little sick these days, like, it's not that often, but if I'm a little sick, I don't need to be around people. Like, it's not like I'm like trying to pay the bills and have to like go into work or have something important I have to do. Like, a lot of it's like, let's grab coffee kind of thing. And even though I do find that kind of stuff important, it's like, it can wait, till another day if it has to. Like, I try to give people notice, and I do complain if people are flaky, but at the same time, it's like, if I have some kind of symptom, I'm gonna stay away from people nowadays, especially because I know people are traveling, people are working, people have interviews, all kinds of stuff. I'm not trying to like get them sick or whatever, and I don't even know if I'm sick. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna like wake up and have like cold or flu symptoms or what. Like, I didn't know if it was like the start of something or if it was just related to something I ate. But I totally just kind of slept it off and rested a lot. Um, this episode's kind of about nothing, but that's just kind of what I was thinking about a little bit. I got some other topics written down that I was kind of thinking about, and I'll just post little pieces of them because I really don't have a whole lot of topics right now. Like, if I'm not studying anything, it's hard to really post stuff. And I haven't really been watching a lot of like historical stuff or like anything that has to do with any type of theories of any kind at the moment, or reading anything. Like, I have been reading some things more about like attachment theories, and that's a book I just started. It's not called Attachment Theory, but it's kind of like a life story kind of book of someone that I follow on YouTube. Oh, Aina Brion. I'm reading her book, like a Keys to Success type of book. I don't remember the exact name. It's called like Keys to something, but it's yeah, I just started it today, pretty much. Well, yesterday, but kind of mostly today, with the main content. But yeah, I mean, I've been kind of out of it the last couple days, and then like before that was trying to snowboard and stuff, and then before that was doing the Vegas thing, and so yeah, I've been kind of not really studying a lot either. What I do need to do is work out. I haven't been doing that either, like I want to do, but I might be able to fit in a little exercise tonight. Yesterday was my first day using the balance board, and so I'll probably try that again tonight, and then I need to do something, maybe by 8 or 8:30 I'm gonna do some exercising, just in the house, just get some, I don't know, just squats and curls, basically. Squats and curls, that ought to do it. I kind of feel like, I don't know, part of me is like, take it easy because you were just sick, a little sick. And then other parts, like, I'm not really sick, so I don't really know, like, what to really say. So, I've been really taking it easy, and it either helped for something not to get full blown, which I'm not sure if maybe it helped me to not fully blow this sickness, for it to get worse, or maybe it already was just a mild little thing and it really was nothing. So I do feel better, but I don't want to overdo it. But also, it's kind of because I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to do anything. But I don't know. There really are things that I was raised with traditionally that do kind of keep me grounded, and especially I'd say like the things that come up the most are the social things, like social quality of social kind of environments and interactions, because that's something I probably value more than most things. Also, like health, physical health, like eating and exercise and sleeping and stuff like that. So that kind of just like relationships and like health. I feel like usually when I have that stuff kind of down, everything in life just seems so much easier and smoother. And I do think I'm pretty grateful for being raised in a tradition that actually is like there's people that are like holding you accountable for a lot of that kind of stuff, and you're having regular discussions about it and like practicing stuff with different people and like talking about it. Like that's something that I feel like, you know, I mean, like with friends, yeah. Like, I mean, like, of course, like I was mostly, working in the psych field, so it's not like those topics never come up. Like, those topics come up a lot with friends outside of religious environments too. But um, it is kind of common to have like, you know, when I'm in those kind of settings. Like we were gonna eat lunch yesterday at a vegan vegetarian place. Like it's stuff like that where it's like also it's very Southern California, it's very LA, but also just stuff like that where it's like I have a lot of friends that don't eat meat or a lot of friends who don't drink, and like the places where we go are very just like oh we're gonna go eat vegan food, like that's just like normal. Like it's not like oh we're going out of our way to eat it. It's like these people don't eat anything else, or like or like my friends who are into like working out, and like some of it's like a religious thing in a way, like just because we were all raised like to value athletics in a way and value kind of like sports and like exercise and stuff. Like it's just in a way, like as much as I've talked and complained about like all the unhealthy stuff, there is a lot of stuff that is very health based and healthy. And so I don't want to make people feel like, just because I had some weird experiences that I'm kind of not trying to repeat. It's more so that I'm trying to be pretty careful with what I let in my life, especially because I did like a big purge of all the. I think I purged out most of the crazy, so I'm like, I'm not trying to introduce more of that into my life again now that I'm kind of like fully like disconnected from everybody that's not like on the same page of like, hey, let's have healthy relationships. And like I mentioned, like it's never going to be perfect. Like I'm not perfect. I might be the one screwing things up. Other people might be the ones that are, it's like, but just to be able to have conversations about it, I feel like where it's like conversations where people aren't defensive and arguing and fighting, and you can kind of just be like, hey, sorry I did this, or hey, sorry about that, and just move on from it, like, and just not hold grudges against people for stuff or whatever. Just like that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be some big old thing that lingers and lasts for like years, and then everybody's involved from like all these different sides, and people taking sides who don't even know you. It's like I don't need any of that. um but yeah, I think it's very like there's just a lot that I don't fully understand. um like what um uh like I don't know, like I have a friend who wants to take a trip um to some place in nature, and I've really been wanting to do that too, but yeah, the weather sucks right now too. We're trying to like wait it out a little bit, and then um but yeah, like that, the group of people that I would probably go with, they're very we refer to them as like Sabbatarians. Like they're very into like the Sabbath and things, and the last time we talked about it when we thought we were gonna go, they were kind of like, okay, like if we go up and it's like Saturday when we're driving, like I'm gonna be listening to like sermons and like all this kind of like they just kind of threw it out there, and I'm like, yeah, I know that's what I expected, you know. And I was gonna be like, hey, you know, we should throw in some contemporary songs and like sing along to some music and stuff, because that's always fun. It's all that's one thing I miss too, is like the music, just like having songs where it's like you grew up singing these songs, even if there's some stupid kid like child ones, like childish songs like about Noah's Ark and all that kind of stuff. Like there like there's songs that like I don't know, I just love it. I always love, like, I don't know, this is like this isn't this, you know, like maybe this sounds dark, but like I don't know, the last funeral I went to, that was one of my religious family friends who passed. I got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while, and there was something nice about all of us just like sitting together and singing hymns. Like I don't know how to explain. It's hard to explain this to people who aren't part of, who didn't grow up in this group of people. But basically, I remember there was there's different church buildings, right? And different churches kind of had like maybe there would be one that was kind of more like a black church that had more like gospel music or more like other types of minorities, or there would be churches that were like the Spanish language church or the Japanese language church, or like the church that only sings hymns and doesn't have any drums and only uses piano and organ and maybe acoustic guitars. And then the ones that have like the drums and the bass guitars and the electric guitars and like you know, more of a band. Like, so even like just the music alone and just like the language alone would really split people. Like people would just gravitate towards what they wanted. And all of these churches, like in LA, I don't know if you can really drive 30 to 40 minutes without finding an Adventist church. And so they're everywhere. And so like, you know, I would know the different churches, not every single church, but like some churches would be like the Pacific Islander, like mostly Tongan and Samoans, you know, and you know, they would kind of have their own style of music and stuff. And then some would be more like gospel style, some would be more like, you know, more like rock music style and stuff like that. So like the church that the service was being held at was one of the churches that was more very like conservative, didn't do drums. They were more like organ, piano. But then the people who, a lot of us, you know, we came from another church where the music was more like rock kind of music. And so like a lot of us came and we were going into that church and we kind of know the rules. We're like, okay, like no clapping, no, like you kind of just walk in and you just kind of know everything. You're just like, okay, like I know what these people think about me because, you know, I can see where they're coming from and we're kind of in their space. And so we basically were kind of like following their rules and like doing things by their terms. But it was really nice to kind of just everybody in our section just kind of singing like the hymns and stuff, and like we're singing louder than all the other people who sing the hymns. Like this is not our music. We're like, this isn't like the music we grew up on. We know all the hymns, of course, because like you have to, like you just learn them because you're around this kind of stuff all the time. But like our church didn't like routinely sing hymns like on a regular weekly basis as all the music during church. It wasn't like the only music. We would just incorporate it at times. And then we would go to other churches that would only sing hymns. And so like we know, all of us know a fair amount of hymns. And I've always kind of liked hymns, even though it's kind of like the dorkiest kind of music to like. Like there's nothing about it that's cool. Like even when we would try to play it like on acoustic, and it's like, dude, like we try to like rock out to it and make it sound good. And like, you know, it's always like, at best it sounds like country music, and then overall it just sounds like those Irish drinking songs. Like it's that's kind of where some of those songs originated, is from those types of old, like kind of like old heritage, like from that day and age. And sometimes it's just nice to sing along. And, you know, when you're doing it with a group of people that you all grew up singing these songs, and it's not like we're singing them on a regular basis. And it was just, I don't know, I mean, like funerals and stuff are not fun, but I mean, it was it was a nice moment, and like I had some like audio, some video. I wasn't like recording it. It was more like the video. It was kind of facing like the piano player a little bit, but just like you could hear all of us just like singing, and we were all singing like really loud. And then like the other people on the other, it was kind of like split. Like the service was kind of split. Like the more like conservative people were kind of on one side, and then the rest of us were on the other, and we were kind of just like singing really loud and like because it's just it's just an expressive kind of thing. But how many times outside of like religious environments, unless you're doing like karaoke or something like that, like you don't really get a lot of chances to just be with people and just like reminisce about things and like have like a little small like reunion of people you haven't seen for like decades, and then just like everybody just singing together and stuff like that. Like unless it's like a wedding or something like that, like usually it's not something that happens on a regular basis. And there is still a sense of community, even though everybody's kind of like doing their own thing. But locally, I do notice, like in LA, there is kind of like a sense of community that I've been very detached from being in San Diego. I've just like checked out of it. And now that I'm back over here, it's kind of like lingering a little bit into my life, little by little. Like I'm not trying to like go back. Like I mentioned, like I've got my own goals in life. A lot of them the church is not going to help me with at the moment. But I do have some ideas in mind if I do plan to incorporate the church, if there would be some flexibility on their end with some creative projects. I do have some stuff in mind that I don't think I'm really going to push. But if it naturally falls into place, that somebody maybe approaches me or asks me about it, I might actually throw it out there and just kind of see, because it's not really like a fleshed out idea. It's just kind of like I would like to collab with some people on some stuff, just because I feel like we kind of get each other, and and it's not, I'm not really trying to be like, if you don't agree with what I believe in, then I don't want to talk to you. I'm not like that at all. Like I don't think anybody, I don't know anybody who believes exactly the same things I do. Parents, family, friends, like religious friends, non-religious friends, like I don't know anybody who kind of believes the same as me. So I don't expect people to really believe what I believe, but like I'm not into the whole convert people and like everybody needs to believe the same thing. I'm more into the, if you're convicted to do something or have something that you feel naturally inclined toward, then that's probably what you are called to do more so for yourself in your own life, at least at that period of time. It's something to at least that's probably worth exploring, but who am I to say what you should be doing? Or what, sometimes I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. So, but I do kind of think it's worth having conversations with people if they want to talk about that kind of stuff. It's just something I leave alone. I kind of just leave it alone. I don't push it. I don't bring it up. All that kind of stuff. I just kind of leave it as it is. And yeah, but definitely some nostalgia this week for sure. And like last week, as I've been kind of like mingling a little bit more with some local friends. It's kind of like early stages of mingling, because I'm kind of like just nudging like who's out, who's still local, and I'm kind of learning like who's still out here little by little. But I'm kind of not really like fully willing to kind of reach out and like actively be like, hey, I really want to see you, because I don't know if I want to put in that much energy. It sounds like a lot of effort, and I'm not trying to like get too distracted while I'm over here. But I don't know. There's some people who I really would want to see if they came to town, like for sure. So I'm keeping an eye open. And then there's other people that I'm like, I don't really know. And some people maybe aren't really in the place, in a space to really be, they got other stuff going on and they're not really trying to plan with anybody, even though they live like conveniently maybe 5 minutes away. But it's just not good timing for some people with some stuff. So I get that too. But yeah, it's just kind of weird. Like every now and then, like, yeah, when I stop studying stuff and then when I start like watching videos of other religions, it kind of makes me like reflect on like kind of what I have going on related to kind of people that I used to know and stuff. And like, it can be a little, like part of me really likes it. Like I actually considered the other day, I'm not gonna say what I considered, but I considered attending a function. I'm not sure yet if I will, but I considered attending a kind of religious function just because I kind of was in the mood to do so. And I don't want to wait till like Easter because I don't like doing stuff around like holidays. I just hate it. Like I hate Easter is my least favorite holiday because it's so depressing and it's like, I'm not trying to think about like crucifixions and torture and like death, and I like the resurrection part, but it's still pretty depressing and there's a lot of death involved and I just don't want it. Like I don't want to think about it. But yeah, like I think it's really like I think it's interesting too because there's somebody I used to kind of uh I don't know. There's someone I knew who knew me when I was still like practicing a lot of traditional things, and they've kind of seen me through like they were a person that was not part of a religion, but I met them through school for the most part, and we've known each other since probably like 2006 or 2007 or something. And so they've kind of seen me go through this whole phase, and it's kind of interesting whenever we kind of like interact. I think it's very interesting for me to talk to this person because I know when they first met me, they were trying to learn about like my culture and my traditions and things, and now it's like they're like when I do see them, they're kind of like, yo, what's up, kind of like it's kind of like they don't really know like how to address things because a lot of times they weren't actually catering towards like my traditions and things. They were actually in a way kind of pushing me to experiment outside of it, and part of me didn't like that at the time. I actually was very like this person is not really understanding. I kind of took it more as like they're trying to push my boundaries, but then I kind of learned more that they kind of thought like to them they were like, it's not so healthy to have like such a strict lifestyle. And I kind of, maybe they kind of saw that it wasn't really that helpful for me, like what I was doing, because probably what I was doing and what I was saying, because I was like talking to them about it a lot, like they probably noticed that I kind of was pretty conflicted between some things I would be doing and just not wanting to be doing them, but I would do them because there was like pressure from like a religious, circle of people, to kind of follow things that I kind of wasn't into. Like it would be something as simple as like, going out for ramen and then like eating pork in my ramen, and like, something that I wouldn't say that I never did, but it was like I did it, but there was a lot of, I don't know, like it's really hard to explain, like, but I think they kind of knew that about me. They're like, they probably knew that there were some things that I was like holding on to that I was doing, that I was like, I just do this because it's the safest way to live, without people like hassling me about like not following the rules or whatever. But I think that they were kind of just like, yeah, like when you're around me, this isn't really gonna fly, kind of thing. Like, cause they didn't really care if I did it or not, but they knew kind of like, cause I would tell them about like the traditions and stuff, so they knew kind of like what I should or shouldn't be eating and like all that kind of stuff. But I don't really know. I never really talked to them about it, so I don't really know like fully their intentions, but I know that they were aware of, having some influence, because they would mention certain things that I would be like, oh, like, this is what I do or don't eat, this is what I do and don't do. And they were like, oh, let's strategically go to this restaurant that has this thing that you don't eat. It's kind of like, okay, So I don't know. I don't really know how to take it. I really don't think it was meant to be like some weird thing. And, I don't think I really felt pressured, because I am very headstrong. And even then I was very like, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. Like, even now, like, it's very rare that I'll just get up and leave for about something, but like, it has happened where it's just like, this is not really what I like envision myself being around, and I will excuse myself and I will leave. And I don't do it out of like pure anger or anything, but I just, I have my own limits of things. And yeah, it's a little complicated, but yeah, that's kind of a lot of stuff that I was like remembering when I was watching some Eli Yoder footage. I was like, okay, like, that was kind of interesting, just because recently I've been like mingling with some people I grew up with, and it's just very it's part of it's refreshing. Like, I like it. I'm not gonna say I don't like it, or else I wouldn't do it. But I am very hesitant. I'm hesitant to kind of like really get too involved with people on stuff. Just because I mean, for me, this is temporary. Me being up here is temporary, so I don't really want to open like a whole door to things that I don't really want to like get all confused about things or weird about things. But at first it was really kind of like, I was pretty pissed off, and now I've been pretty like, I think I've worked through a lot of it, and it's just been very, lately, kind of more pleasant. Like, I've been having more pleasant experiences with it and just kind of rolling with it. But I'll probably record a little bit more based on some topics that came up in Eli Yoder's videos, and then otherwise I don't really have a whole lot to record, you guys. I really, like, unless I'm studying something, I'm not really studying much of anything. I never finished that Nazarite study that I was doing. And then a lot of the Egypt stuff, and just like, that was just, it's so in depth that like, I don't really have a lot of background in it. And so I kind of like to study stuff that I kind of have some background in, just because it's easier. I don't really feel like I want to start anything from scratch. And then, so yeah, the Egypt stuff, and then like all the archaeology stuff was, and it seemed like people liked it, like the content and the topics, but I was kind of like, I don't really know what I think about it, because I only know a little bit, and so I think I recorded as much as I knew about from what I was learning, and then I just stopped recording. But yeah, I'll record a little bit more on this topic. I just want to post some stuff, because I don't want to go that long without posting, and I'm assuming people don't really care about these types of episodes, but it's also kind of like, I got nothing to say. Like, what do you want me to do? But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people can relate, though, like to, if you've ever been back around like childhood, like if you've ever seen that movie Elizabethtown, that was kind of one of those kind of movies that almost reminds me of, what it's like, to come back to an area where you're just like, there's all this stuff that you just kind of left behind. And it was easier for me to see like what I left behind that wasn't good. But there's a lot that I left that was like good, like, for sure. Like, it wasn't like all just like bad and like stressful. Like, for the most part, a lot of it was good. Maybe even most of it, in all honesty, because it didn't start bothering me too much until later on, when I had other options. Then I started seeing more and more like, okay, I can actually see myself building a life for myself more towards what I want, versus like having to stick this out. in the way that it was with all the traditional people. And but there is a lot about the traditional people that I do actually like. Otherwise I wouldn't even entertain it at all. Like, I'm not completely like trying to like do away with interacting with all those types of people. Um, but yeah, but I'll talk more about some of that stuff too.